Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here at a required press conversation. And I knew you couldn't say no to this, and that is why I am honored to be joining you. I'll start with you, Marcus. When you watch the film of Ryan Day's team, what do you think is the message that he drives home since training camp, off season? What do you think the style of play that he is looking for from his team after watching film of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yeah, the two things that come to mind is they're disciplined and they're tough. They're tough. Everybody talks about how explosive they are, and we know that they have playmakers on both sides of the ball. It'll probably be the most explosive skill, offensive skill that we've seen all year, but the thing that jumps off the film is they're disciplined and they're tough. And those are characteristics that both teams aspire to have. And it's going to be a great challenge, not only schematically, but making sure that we can win some one-on-one battles versus disciplined and tough football players.
It feels like you might know the Ohio State Buckeye world a little bit more than maybe any other coach that has to take him on. Being disciplined and tough is kind of a requirement for the state of Ohio, don't you think that?
Absolutely. Especially from a guy born in Ohio. You better be disciplined and tough.
Okay, and how about you? Whenever you watch the Notre Dame team, not just obviously these playoff games, which they've looked awesome as you guys have had, but all season, what do you think are the things that he's hammering home in the locker room?
Well, you can tell, first off, they're very, very well coached. They do not beat themselves at all. I mean, they're extremely, you talk about discipline and toughness. I mean, that personifies the team that Notre Dame has, and it starts with Marcus. They put pressure on you in all three phases. They're physical up front. They're very, very sound in everything that they do, but their technique is really, really good. So, scheme is scheme, but, they play with great pad level. They play with great hands. They know how you're trying to attack them in all three phases. And again, they just don't beat themselves. And it starts with their quarterback, I think. He's a leader of their team, and he drives the ship.
How do you feel after reading that Players Tribune from Jack Sawyer? I assume you got to read it. I read it, and there was about 2 paragraphs where it was just a compliment to you and how you've kind of handled the team and how you're the one who takes the brunt of everything when it goes bad, but then the players are the ones that you spotlight whenever it goes good. And he talked about one more than forever. That was kind of almost the idea coming into this season by Jack and all the seniors and everybody else. Can you talk a little bit about what Jack means, but also not just what Jack is, but what he represents for your entire culture in that locker room?
Yeah, I think, first off, Jack was the first commit that I had as a head coach, and that meant a lot to me. And he helped recruit that entire class, and he personifies what it means to be a Buckeye, growing up in Pickerington, Ohio, growing up a Buckeye. And his dream was to win a national championship at Ohio State. And now he has an opportunity to do that on Monday night. And he's, again, you talk about family. He's become like family to me, to my wife, to my kids, but one of many on the team, the seniors. But when they decided to come back, it's just a little different. They poured a little bit more into the program because they could go on into the NFL. He could have been playing in the NFL right now, but he didn't. He decided to come back, and he led the way. I mean, there was a bunch of guys there, but he led the way. He's been one of the more outspoken guys, and I got a lot of respect for just how he's handled himself this season. When we've been in tough moments, he stood tall.
Did you see him jump on him on the sideline? You didn't see this? It was awesome. I was worried that Jack might drop him. He's a little tired, but Ryan did this
jumped on
embrace on Jack Sawyer. It was a magical moment. But I think it showed how
team was killing me.
I can imagine.
I didn't realize the seniors put it up in the team meeting. They were killing me.
You were all in. I mean, it was cool. You got lost in the moment.
I got caught in the moment. It's exactly what I told the team. I said, guys, I apologize. Probably throw me in jail for something like that.
No. It was a good thing. I want to let you know, whenever we saw it, we thought it was sweet. AJ Hawk even said, look at the love these guys have. Now, I don't know if AJ would have done the same move, but I thought it was sweet. I thought it showed how together your squad was. And for you, Riley Leonard did a Players Tribune as well. And he talked about after that Northern Illinois game. And obviously losses are a big part of both your team's stories, which we'll have to dive into. But he talked about he was just laying in the practice facility, just staring at there, had to have police go take him home. I think he was really wondering if he had let down an entire university. And then since then, what you guys have done has just been an absolute buzzsaw. Can you talk about Riley Leonard being a leader for your team, even though he just came in? Did you read the Players Tribune about him? Did you know everything that was going on with him personally after that Northern Illinois loss? And what have you learned about him and your team since then?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Riley, and you have to, as the head coach with your quarterback. And I come from the defensive side of the ball, and the thing I learned early in my head coaching career is there's nobody that emulates the head coach more than the starting quarterback, and that's why it's intentional on my end to make sure we meet. And I remember meeting with him that Sunday, and he had just experienced the highest of highs the week before as the quarterback at Notre Dame to the lowest of low, and I started laughing. I remember telling him, like, if you get your joy from things outside of football, then this is going to be a miserable experience for you. And so you have to get your joy from playing with your teammates. You have to get your joy from this opportunity that you have in front of you. And that's what you've seen him do from that moment on, is to continue to lead this group in a way that not many people have done, and to continue to improve and lead us to some great victories. So he is an ultimate competitor. He's a great person, and he's a great leader. And he's done a great job leading our program.
He put a video out on social media that was like a hype video. Everybody has. By the way, your guys' social media teams are great. You need to know that. I assume you're a part of the editing of all those videos, Mr. Coach Day, and so are you, Marcus. But your social media teams are great. So is Riley's. Riley, in his social media video, put peanut butter and jelly slicing and dicing in there. There was no jealousy. There was no, like, he was mad that another quarterback got shine. But it was like, I felt like that was a good moment to showcase what you guys have created. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a reflection of our program. Like, you talk about Steve Angeli, peanut butter Angeli, you know, being Riley Leonard's biggest supporter. Right? And Riley Leonard goes down, the number one person that's supporting Steve Angeli is Riley Leonard. And that's a reflection of that room and the leadership Coach Gaduli, our quarterback's coach, has done with that group. But our team, like, you know, everybody has a role each week. And it can change depending on what week it is. But embrace your role, because your role is important for us to achieve the success that we want. But also know that you got to support your teammates. And it's great to hear that you said that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like one of the first things I noticed, especially whenever you guys were kind of putzing around a little bit on offense, I think. The refs were not on your side either. I loved watching you kind of handle that with the refs, because I was a very similar person. But then Angeli comes in, there's a little bit of a spark, I think, because they weren't ready for him. And then you come out second half, like, you got a decision to make now. Have a hot quarterback, or you're going to go back to your leader. You went back to your leader, and it felt like he was comfortable in the moment. He showed up, and they were pulling for each other. That's a beautiful thing. That's how you win games. It was fun to watch. Let's talk about winning games. Since that Michigan loss, and I know you're sick of hearing of it, I assume, but I think Coach Saban and I have talked about this ad nauseum on game day, like, greatest thing that's happened to your team. Does it suck to hear that, or do you think that's a real thing with the boys in the locker room?
I just think it's part of our story this season. That's it. And, you know, you just never know exactly what a season's going to bring. And, you know, there's time, I think, to reflect on, you know, how we got to this point. And I think a lot of people have brought up that and brought up different things that have happened throughout the season. But it's really for our team, like, just focusing on right now and avoiding and limiting all those distractions. And so you don't know until you're through with the season. And I think you can look back and see. But there's no question that, you know, we were able to come together and, you know, bond together and galvanize going through that. Not that any of it was fun at all. It was miserable. But that's, you know, it's the job of the leaders, and ultimately it's my responsibility. And I do feel like in those moments, like, you know, it's my responsibility in those moments to take on, like, you know, that's my accountability in that moment. But then as we win, like, it's the players, it's the coaches, it's all the guys. And so they're the warriors on the field. And I think sometimes, you know, we get too much attention as coaches. It's the players. And so, you know, in life, you know, when you have momentum, you got to keep it. When you don't, you got to go build it. We had to build momentum coming off that last game. I felt like we built it, and we have it, so we have to continue to you know, keep that momentum.
I feel like Jack said in the Players Tribune, I might be misquoting it, but basically after that loss, there was a players-only meeting, and then you, none of the other assistant coaches. And he said it was like an airing of grievances. It was like an emotional meeting. Not that you would ever say anything in there, but did it feel like a lot of people got some things off their chest? Because it looks like you have a very free team right now playing. Do you think that meeting was a part of that, or what do you think?
I don't want to overdo it or really go back and through that much, but I felt like it was an opportunity to give these guys a lesson in life, that when things go bad, you come together and you air things out. And that means, like, being real and maybe having an argument, maybe whatever, but it can glue you together and build your relationship stronger. And sometimes when you get things off your chest in your life, with your family, with your wife, with your kids, with colleagues, you can move forward and be more free. And we did that, and that meeting wasn't exactly pretty, but there was accountability taken, there was emotion shown, and then we were able to put a plan moving forward. But then we had to, the biggest thing of all of that was, what are we going to do to get this fixed? We got to address the issues here. When we came up short, what were the issues, and how do we get them fixed? Because everybody has their issues throughout the season, and it's our job to make sure they get fixed and addressed, and that was what it was all about.
Yeah, to your point about airing grievances and moving on, how old are you?
45.
You're old as shit in this room. Ain't he? He's an old ass man. Back in our day, you used to actually fight people and then move on. Like that was literally a way to settle it. Now, kind of having a conversation and kind of addressing the elephants in the room is a great thing to move on. Will Howard, this guy's special, man. Just getting to watch him in person here over this college football playoff run from the sideline that we've been in, big. You know how big he is? Have you seen him yet?
No, not in person. I'll see him Monday.
Big.
Yeah.
Not the Riley Leonard. Big, strong, moxie, leader. Like, I think he's a Sunday guy. Nobody's talking about him being a Sunday guy, an NFL guy. But what has he been for your team, especially during this playoff run? And how have he and Chip Kelly come together to create this offense that you guys are running right now at maximum altitude?
Yeah, Will came in with great experience. He had won championships before. He had,
Big 12 Player of the Year.
Right.
Last year.
Right. And just that to me was what I saw. And then when you got a chance to meet him, when he starts talking about football, when he starts talking about leadership, and our first meeting, he described a play for me, and I was like, ooh, this guy sounds like an NFL player. Like, he had detail, he had, the ability to kind of go through a couple plays that he had played in different games, and then I just having a conversation, I'm like, this is a little bit different. And then watching him as a leader this season. And one of the things that we did this year is we went to the huddle, which we've never done before, but one of the things that we've learned from being in the huddle with such a great leader like Will is he looks 10 guys in the eye, gives them the play, and they feel his presence coming out of the huddle. And I think we've built off of that this season. And I learned a lot about Will. The practice, we lost Seth McLaughlin. He tore his Achilles in practice. It was a Tuesday practice. It was awful. I mean, I was in my pocket. And one of the best leadership examples I've ever seen. He built that team up. We moved Carson to center. We moved on. And then we went on to play that Penn State game. And he was the leader of that group. And his positive mindset and his resilience is significant.
He's dancing with teammates too. Like, that's the stuff that I look at. That I'm like, the boys love him. Speaking of the boys love him, Riley feels like the boys love Riley. And how could you not? He said whenever he talked to Will, he knew that he was the guy that he wanted for Ohio State. What was it about Riley when you first talked to him? Because obviously we saw him at Duke last year, and he was big. You're talking about Hooper. You're talking big, athletic. A lot of questions about his arm. I think he's put a lot of that to rest here during the college football playoff run. But what was it about Riley that made you think, like, yeah, this is the right guy for Notre Dame?
Yeah, we knew he was the right player. We played against him last year. We knew what type of player he was. But, you get a chance to talk to him and meet his family. He's the right person. He's got great parents, done an unbelievable job at raising him. He is a team-first guy, but he's an ultimate leader. Right? He's got confidence and great leadership ability, but he puts others before himself. And when you talk about adding those two traits together, you talk about the starting quarterback at Notre Dame. And so it didn't take long for me to realize he's the right person for our team and for our locker room.
How's he in the weight room? Pretty good?
Oh, yeah, he's strong. He's a freak.
I watched the men's health thing on you. The quote, I believe, I need to know that when I walk into a gym, I can still bench 315. This
Amen.
guy. That's it. That was literally
And squat 315.
Okay, need to be able to do both.
Both.
Are we doing that with the boys in the locker room to let them know, or is it on your own time?
In the off season. It's at the end of the season right now, and we don't get much sleep at the end of the season, but in the off season, they'll see it. I make sure they see it, just in case, I make sure they know.
How often are you guys talking to the team? How often do you talk to the team in a normal week?
Daily.
Every day.
Yeah.
How about you, Ryan?
Same.
And what is it, just like kind of setting the tone for the day or for the week, or what? How far ahead are we looking? What are your meetings normally like with the team?
Yeah, during the playoffs, it's been great. We've had a lot more opportunity to be together. Certainly when classes have started now, but during most of the run, there really hasn't been classes, so we've been able to spend much more time together as a group. And then jumping in and out of some of the position groups, just giving the messaging, and then coming together as a group and having a message for the day. And so I think it's brought our team together closer.
How often are you benching 315? Right?
Zero. That's not happening with me.
Me neither, brother.
No, it didn't happen.
Yeah, no,
Right now.
what a monster this guy is. I'm excited to see how long that lasts. Okay, last question from me, and then there's a guest that has a question for both you guys. The game comes down to what, you think, in your eyes?
Execution, who takes care of the football, and
They turn the ball over all the time.
yeah, right.
That's literally what they do.
They-
It's unbelievable. They got a magnet for the ball in their defense.
Right, I know. And I think over 140 points off of turnovers, and just they don't beat themselves. So, but it's going to be a great game. Very, very competitive. Two teams going at it. I mean, it's going to be a blast. It's what you hope for in a game like this.
How about you, Coach? What do you think it comes down to?
On offense, it's going to be the ability to run the ball and to protect the football. We got to run the ball and protect the football. On defense, we're going to have to stop the run, and we're going to have to limit the explosive plays that they're going to create. I mean, they do a great job of having explosive offensive plays, and we have to limit those things. And then special teams, we got to be superior. We have to win the punt battle, and we got to find ways to continuously gain an edge in special teams. So things that we've done all season, right? But you got to do it against the toughest opponent you'll face all year, and on the biggest stage. So we're looking forward to it.
I think, there was a lot of questions about the 12-team playoff, especially the first round where you guys just boat race the hell out of the SEC. They come up into the freezing cold, can't handle it. Shout out to the North. And then you guys do the same exact thing throughout the entire run. The CFP certainly has some things it has to work on. Got it right with you two. Your teams have been so much fun to watch. Thank you for allowing us to kind of follow along with your team's journeys, and I can't wait to watch. Before we get you out of here, there is somebody that has a question, though.
I'm sure I know what this is happening right now.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
Look at
this. You know you want to get away with that.
Can I walk with this thing?
Yeah.
Coach, hit me with this again.
Coach, come on over here,
You've already
Coach.
got me with this a couple times.
Coach, come here, Coach. Great to see Coach Dave.
Hey, Mr. McAfee.
You want to sit here?
Sir.
Hey, Coach, you stay sitting. Coach Dave, listen. It's good to see you.
Good to see you
It's
too,
good
Coach.
To see you. Coach Freeman.
Good to see you, brother.
Great to see you. Listen, I won't take up too much of your time, okay? I know you guys got a lot of media obligations. If I was in your position, I wouldn't want to do this BS either, okay? Listen, Coach Jay, I'm going to start with you, okay? I thought we buried the hatchet on this back in Columbus on Pat's show. We talked to each other.
Face to face.
Listen, I said some things I maybe got over my skis a little bit, okay? I tend to do that in my old age. But then I hear all this stuff, how you haven't talked to me since then. So, hey, listen, I understand you got the biggest game of your life ahead of you, so we won't dwell on that. But I just got to know before I move on. I mean, do we need to take this to a back alley or something to finish once and for all? Listen,
You guys realize that, right? You guys are out of your mind.
Where
do you come up with this stuff? I swear to God.
I mean, we got a weapon.
You guys just stay up late at night and come up with this stuff?
This guy's good Lou Holtz impersonation. I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much. Freeman.
Appreciate it, man.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. You didn't get your question answered.
Well, I do have a question. I do have a question for you.
Oh, shoot.
Oh.
No, hey, listen, this God's country, Notre Dame football. Don't you worry, son. Okay, you've done an unbelievable job. But I just want to impart.
Coach, nobody's paying attention.
Nobody's paying attention.
You've done enough talking.
Coach, no one's paying
You've done enough
attention to you,
talking.
Coach.
Okay, I guess.
done enough
Good luck, guys.
See you, Coach. See you, Coach.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
See you, Coach. See you.
No respect for the elderly, I guess.